What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here, back with the RFL podcast. And boy, do we have a big one here for you guys. We'll be going over a lot. The conference championship games are set. We have, we don't know the bowl games, but we can at least get a look at what the bowl games currently would be based off of how the season is going for the regular season. It's Army versus Navy week coming up. I'll let you guys know when that game will be played. That'll be played at a different time. We're going to be getting a look at the guys who are leading the country statistically and in awards. And we're going to, of course, recap what happened last week, talk about the players who have declared for the RFL draft as the declarations to be able to declare were open just today at noon. So a lot to go over, guys, man. This should be another great podcast like the last, where it's just going to be very informative. And let's get right into it, man. First, we're going to get into these games. And the first game that opened us up was the Michigan versus Ohio State game. This was a great game that showed us one thing. Tremaine James is him. I saw Tremaine James. He only had one game this season where he has not had over 100 yards rushing, but he's been tearing up everyone's defense. And coming into this game, I was thinking, man, is he going to be able to do this against Ohio State? And sure enough, he did. He didn't even have 30 carries. It was a carry short with 29 for 240 of them things. Took one to the house on a long touchdown run. I can't remember the distance to be exact, but I mean, he tore it up on the ground. Ultimately, Ohio State ended up coming up on top, but we have to play with the conditions as to what they are. We understand that there was 12 points left off the board for Michigan due to the multiple missed field goals. But it is what it is. And that home field advantage had to come in and kick in for Ohio State. Dylan Lewis over 300 yards, didn't have his most spectacular game. Michigan's defense played pretty good in this game, man, to hold Ohio State to 20 points. Over 100 points for, 100 yards for Arturo Flores, as he was the main target for Dylan Lewis for the big plays. And they kept the run game in check for the most part, too. Michigan did. It's a tough one for Michigan because this was really a game that they had. But unfortunately, Ohio State getting it done, man. 11-1, they finished the season. Michigan finishes 7-5. I know they didn't want to end their season out that way, but they are bowl game eligible like they were last year, and looking to cap it off with a big win. And to crazy enough to talk about, Tremaine James over 2,200 rushing yards this season, breaking an RFL record. That is just crazy. And it's just a regular season, right? And he's still got the bowl game to play. Unfortunately, no conference championship, but one more game left on his season to play, and we'll see if he can, how much more yards he can put up on that. But shout out to the guys who are here. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to the people we got in here. We got Keyshawn, we got THC up in here, Michael Blunt, Calvin Poole, Keyshawn Williams, Space Demon, which I'm pretty sure that's is that Caleb Houston? Let me know if that's Caleb. I don't think it is. It might be. Who knows? Harvey, Shady Houston. We got Amber in the building. Dante Taylor, JoJo, head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Chris Polk, Tyshawn Wiggins, Rashad Mitchell, Darius in the building. What's going on? Those are all the guys who've commented so far. Appreciate you guys coming through. But that's it for the first game. Great season as always, as it's been for Ohio State, 11-1 season, as they are headed to the Big Ten Conference Championship game. Of course, we'll get into that. Game 2 went live on Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Mix on the call. Utah versus Oklahoma State. This game was very big because the winner of this one was going on to face the undefeated Colorado Buffs in the Big 12 Conference Championship. Ultimately, it ended up being the Utah Utes, who we predicted to get here in the beginning of the season, but we also expected Oklahoma State to be the team who they faced in the Big 12 Conference Championship. Instead, that's just the team they faced at the end of the year to get that opportunity. The game was very interesting, very close. 26-23 was the final score, and Eric Alcorn's got himself a Big 12 Conference Championship game to look forward to. As last year, Utah highly disappointed. They didn't even get to this game last year, and they were like the heavy favorites to do it. But they're looking for vengeance too in that Big 12 Conference Championship because Colorado absolutely embarrassed them. I believe the final score was 39-20 in that matchup, and they're looking for get back where it matters most for a conference title. Vince Reed continuing to have a phenomenal year. He had a phenomenal freshman year last year in CS7 as a generic running back, 34 carries, 128 yards against the Cowboys, and a touchdown. Just absolutely tore them up. And we saw a lot of just limited offense for Oklahoma State kind of throughout the year. And Kareem Douglas, he led the team in rushing and in passing, of course. Only 27 yards rushing, though. Got in the end zone that way and through the air. So 2 touchdowns for him, but just could not lead his Cowboys over the Utes as they get the victory. And the Utes improved to 9-3 on the season to cap off their regular season, and Oklahoma State falls to 8-4. The game following that at 9 p.m. Eastern, Pecan was on the call. It was the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn. Alabama, of course, hot #1 team. They were able to jump Clemson after their big win over LSU. And these guys are really putting it, making it known like, hey, man, we do deserve this #1 spot despite Clemson being undefeated. Of course, looking forward to seeing if that matchup goes down in the College Series playoffs. But Alabama handling business at home, and the 3-game stretch that we knew was going to be difficult for Alabama. Still an 18-point win, but I know Bama would have liked to have a more bigger win than this. We had a little bit of a sloppier game from Jaden Young, but he still ended up with 5 touchdowns on the day. A few interceptions I'm sure he would have liked to have back, but over 400 yards passing, you can see, led the team in rushing in terms of the touchdowns with the 2 to add to his 3 passing, and 39 yards. Keyshawn Covington in the last couple of weeks, man, has been turning up in the big games. The transfer from Tennessee, 6 receptions, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns out of the 3 from Young, so that was big time. We had a couple of touchdowns from Parkey, the quarterback from Auburn, but unfortunately 3 picks really sealed the deal for them. And 38-20, the final score there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Big win. Auburn finishes their season 11-1. Auburn 9-3. Still a great season for them as they'll look forward to a bowl game. And we move on to the premier games. 4 p.m. Eastern. We had Oregon taking on Michigan State, and Oregon clearly the favorites to win this one, and they did exactly that. 45-16. A lot of big plays through the air to their receivers. I think Atagwe was the main guy. He got in the end zone there as Corey Baines, a guy who did declare for the RFL draft this year. Sealed it, man. Having a great season. We'll go ahead and look into the statistics and everything, of course, after all of this. But Oregon getting it done and finishing their season 9-3. Big time win. Then we had Tulane versus UConn. I honestly expected Tulane to blow out UConn in this one, and Tulane had one of their weaker games. I mean, they won by 19, which is 3 scores, but 22 points only put up, and only 1 touchdown from Devin Norton, who finished the year with 48 of those things. We'll get more into those stats again as I talked about. But a lot of receiving options out there. Tulane just finishing their season undefeated. Of course, it's only the 2nd year they've been a part of the RFL College Series, and big time win for them, 12-0. We kind of expected that they might go undefeated based off of the talent they had there and what they had to face. They knew that that offense was going to be very explosive in the American Conference, and sure enough, it was. They're going to the to the American Conference Championship game, and of course, taking on Memphis. Again, getting into all that. We'll show that all in game. But a big win. Nothing else to say really about UConn. Just winning the way they were supposed to, by at least 3 scores. But yeah, I think this is one of the weaker games for Tulane, with just 22 points. But yeah, we'll see how they look in that conference championship game. Blowout here, shutout Northwestern getting did in by Illinois. Illinois finishing their season 10-2. This was a great, team also that's coming out of the blue. They did make the RFL College Series playoffs last year, but absolutely shutting out Northwestern, man, 44-0, balling, and just made it look easy as they are looking forward to the playoffs once again, as we'll get into the top 25 rankings. I don't have the graphic made for that yet, guys, but I will, of course, show that to you guys on here. A big win for them. Next game after that on the premieres, we had Colorado to finish their undefeated season. So we had 3 teams go undefeated this year. Obviously, we saw the one in Tulane, the other one with Colorado here, 55-7 over their Big 12 conference competition in Kansas State. Made it look easy. Greg Denbo and those guys continue to just tear it up and exceed expectations. I believe this is their 3rd year in the RFL College Series. They were a part of the College Series in CS8. And yeah, big time season for them, man, as they're going to the Big 12 Conference Championship. And we see they're going to be facing off once again against the Utah Utes. So big time matchup. Can't wait to see how that turns out. Moving through these quickly because we got a lot to go through. Don't want to spend too much time. Baylor finishing their season 7-5. So, I mean, although, not in any playoff contention or anything like that, like Baylor kind of used to be in that talk back in the day. I mean, Coach Rodney Goins, former alumni here for this team, is safety right now for the Steamers. He was able to flip this program around, man. Only 3 wins for Baylor last year. He got them up to 7 and to a bowl game. So, I mean, that's still impressive. Big time turnaround. He kind of give you the, the Deion Sanders type vibes with that type of turnaround there. 36-13, they win over BYU. So big time win there, and shout out to Coach Goins trying to get the Bears back on track. Moving into the next game, we had Nebraska versus Iowa, good old-fashioned Big Ten rivalry game, and Nebraska finishing their season at 9-2. I mean, another great season, another playoff team too, from last year, making it potentially back. We got some things to talk about to see if they got a shot, but it's not exactly in the bag just yet. But they were able to get a solid victory over Iowa. Iowa's been that team that when you play them, you got to watch out because they may be a lower end team, but they can shock you and defeat you. I mean, they upset at Michigan this year earlier within the season. But usually it's like they come up with the upset or they get beat down pretty bad. They got beat down pretty bad here in this one, losing by 22, and Nebraska getting it done there on the road. Big time victory. And then we had a battle of the Georgia teams, Georgia Tech versus Georgia. Of course, this was kind of personal. We already know the history for the guys who've been paying attention to the College Series personnel. Former Georgia Bulldog cornerback and Elijah Carter Jr., ECJ. Man, always looking forward to trying to see if he could get those dogs after transferring out. He took a whole squad there with him to Georgia Tech. They only lasted 1 season. Most of those guys gone, so he was there kind of with a few guys this year. Much better performance compared to last year, but the Bulldogs absolutely beating him down for a 2nd year in a row. 41-17, the final score, as Georgia finishes their season 9-3. We were just talking about the records in the Discord. Had a long Discord chat just in VC, and just talking about how Georgia has just been that team again. They're missing the playoffs. They didn't miss it last year. They were in the playoffs and had a decent little run. Won the SEC. So, I mean, this is just a team that performs, but when you're talking about hardware, just haven't been able to do it since that season 2 season. But their worst season came when the first ever college series where they went 5-8, and they at least even made a bowl game then because it was an uneven number of teams, and they lost in that bowl game. But ever since then, they have won 9 or more games every season. So that goes to tell you, Georgia may not be where they want, again, competing for a national championship, but they are a very good team regardless. Again, finishing their season 9-3. Looking forward to a bowl game to get to double digits. And then we had Florida getting the victory over Florida State, and this was a huge statement win. Still proved the allegations of the 6-6 season to come true, but boy, I'm pretty sure Florida is excited that at least that was able to stay true, because I mean, they lost this game. They were not going to a bowl game. They got it done though, man. 51-13 over the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State was looking pretty good at points in this season, and then just, you know, in some games they got beat down, but Florida really putting on a show, getting it done here. I believe even JoJo Carter had a pick 6 in this game. So Carter got one more game to look forward to, man. He has declared for the RFL draft. Couple of guys, of course, this guy on the poster here, Casey Robinson, declaring for the RFL draft. Had no choice, a senior. And again, just to make sure that guys know, I think we put an announcement out there, but for guys who are here and you're a senior in the college series, you still have to declare that you're going to the draft. You do not declare that you're going to the RFL draft within the 2 weeks that you have until November 7th. Once that closes, your player is just going to be known as, you know, a college legend or whatever he was able to accomplish in college, because he will not be able to go into the RFL draft at that point. And that would be it for him. So you won't even be able to do free agency. So make sure that you declare for the draft if you are a senior and looking to move on. But yeah, 51-13, 6-6 season for the Gators, looking to try to see if they can get above 500 like last year. Next game, man. This is the first bell I got to play, because this was L City. Duke has been, you know, a team, we saw their schedule was fairly weak. They had a couple good games on there. They were winning pretty good. You know, they had a shot to go to the ACC championship game too. Their first upsetting loss came from UNC, my Tar Heels getting it done. But they had another loss against Clemson, which, you know, was expected. But then they were ranked 14th in the country, literally 14th in the country at this point, playing a 5-6 Stanford team. So they weren't even bowl eligible up to this point. They could have won. Duke more than likely would have been a playoff caliber team and would have been able to, you know, if things go right, you know, punch their ticket into that. And they lost to Stanford 43-34, man. Like, how do you give up 43 points to Stanford and lose in this fashion? I believe Stanford also upsetted Notre Dame. I might be mistaken there. I have to check. Let me check real fast just to make sure that I'm accurate or not on that one. I could go in here real quick. Let's see. No, Notre Dame beat Stanford. They beat them 47-34. The Stanford did have, I thought they upsetted somebody, so I'm gonna go to Stanford real fast. Who did they beat? Man, no. I mean, this was their biggest upset, man. So yeah, Duke to fold like that is crazy. I mean, they beat NC State. I think that was a little bit unexpected. They won 31-27, but man, with the playoffs on the line, to lose like this is crazy, man. Just fold in the absolute worst way, man. Had high expectations for these guys. Guys at least got a bowl game, but now so does Stanford. So like that's how you earn a victory and get an extra game on your season. Tough loss for Duke as they fall to 9-3. Following game, UCF taking on TCU. TCU making it look easy, winning 51-17. Of course, not going to that Big 12 Conference Championship game, but they got their hats teetering around, trying to see if they could potentially go to the playoffs. But you know, they made it last year. This year, you know, the rankings kind of hurt them a little bit from where they are. We'll have to see what happens, but big win as they were able to get that one over the Knights. Nothing really too much to talk about there. UCF wasn't all too good this year. And how about this? I can talk about this a little bit statistically. Tennessee winning and getting their vengeance from last year. It was Vanderbilt who stopped Tennessee from making the playoffs last year. Tennessee more than likely not making the playoffs either this year based off of where they are ranked. But sweet old vengeance as they were able to double the score of Vanderbilt here, 62-31. And man, what a performance from this guy on the poster. Multiple 250 plus yard games this guy had. Not only that, over 1,900 receiving yards on the season. He finished this game with, I believe it was 3 touchdowns and 285 receiving yards. What a season this freshman has had for Tennessee. Jackson Willis has really been that guy. And looking forward to see what he does in his bowl game to add on to that. He more than likely is going to be up to 2,000 receiving yards. I think that is the most yards any receiver has had in the RFL College Series, and he is just a freshman doing this remarkable year for the Vols and him, man. I can't speak enough about how spectacular Jackson Willis has been. Then following that game, we had USC dominating Notre Dame. Final score was 32-3. Notre Dame has just had one of those, just bad years, man. 7-5 they finished the year. Didn't expect them to, be what they were record-wise on the year. Big win though that USC needed because they had a couple of rough games. Their roughest one they just lost not too long ago. Coming off of this to UCLA, and instead of finishing 10-2 and having a shot to potentially play for the Big Ten Conference Championship, they fumbled and folded on that game, but came back with a vengeance, beating Notre Dame and looking forward to a bowl game themselves as Coach Severio has got the Trojans back on track, as we talked about earlier with Baylor and Coach Rodney going. So big time win there in that rivalry game over the Fighting Irish. And then we had absolute blowout, another rivalry game here to end off the season, rivalry week with Kentucky versus Louisville. And man, they 10x plus their points, 73-7. What a beatdown. Unfortunately, Louisville is bowl eligible when they really should have been 5-7. They got a win over Florida State, which they really shouldn't have got. Florida State should be, I believe, 8-4 instead of 7-5 after they finished the season. But Kentucky, man, Kentucky having themselves a solid year. I believe 9-3 on the season. Looking forward to their bowl game. Asamoah, just doing his thing, airing it out. He's been looking really good this season. Another freshman who was really, showed out here in the RFL College Series. And then we had Clemson versus South Carolina in a good old-fashioned rivalry game as well. Clemson completing their undefeated season. They were short of that last year, going 11-1, only losing their opening game of the season. And ever since then, they have not lost. They have currently the longest winning streak in the RFL College Series. I know it's not 30 yet, but it might be 27, 28 games. I know Pecan knows that. Forgot to ask him before this podcast, but they're looking to try to be the second team in RFL College Series history to finish out a season completely undefeated as the CS2 Georgia Bulldogs did, and also tie Ohio State for the record for 3 consecutive national championships. So, all that is still on the horizon there for the Clemson Tigers as they brutally dominate the Gamecocks here, 51-6. Nothing really too much to talk about there. We had 3 touchdowns, passes from Colorado Rivers, 2 rushing from Bo Sanders, who leads the nation in rushing touchdowns with 26. So Clemson's still doing their thing. And we had Penn State versus Washington, a very big game because Penn State and Ohio State, who are going to be competing in the Big 12 Conference Championship game, they had to win this week. If they lost, had Penn State lost to Washington or Ohio State lost their game against Michigan, we would have had more than likely different matchup. But Penn State handled business, beating a pretty good Washington team in the rain here, 26-7. And so they had a bit of a weak schedule. I'll have to say that. Washington ended up being a pretty good team. I think Washington finishes their season 9-3. So, they're still, pretty pretty solid team this year that they were able to beat, and that's the momentum you kind of want going into a conference championship game. Of course, Ohio State got that as well, beating Michigan, but 26-7 final score there as they are able to finish their season at 11-1. So big time there for the Nittany Lions, and Texas with a huge win. They needed this because they're not going to a conference championship game, but this win more than likely is going to keep them in the playoffs, something they missed last year. They had a very underwhelming season in CS7. Did not live up to expectations. I think they lost 5 games, if I'm not mistaken, and went 7-5, won their bowl game, 8-5. They finished the year. If not that, then it was 9-4. But yeah, the very tough schedule too they had last year. A little bit easier for them compared to last year, but they, they had some big games and they performed very well. 43-15, the final score. You can see Nyshawn Miller here with a nice extension, getting one of the touchdowns, and they improved their record to 10-2 on the season. As for Texas A&M, they will fall to 9-3. This was a pretty good underdog team that were able to upset some teams this year, and interesting to watch, but a dominant win by Texas. And I'm very interested to see what they do in the playoffs. I feel like this is a team nobody really talks too much about. They got some great firepower in terms of what they can do on the defensive side of the ball. What's always been in question for Texas, though, has been their offense. And if they can really get that going and consistent with their quarterback, Nyshawn Miller, who we know is a big-time dual threat. He's most likely going to kill you with his legs. But definitely a much better season this time around, and we're looking to see, can he lead the Longhorns to something more this year? We will be able to find out. And then the final game of the week was Oklahoma versus LSU. And this, of course, was definitely the game of the week. It played like it. Now, is it a classic? Towards the end, LSU started to go away, so I wouldn't necessarily classify it as a classic, as they were able to win by 14, 41-27, but it was a great game, man. It was back and forth. It was 14-14 at one point. We saw LSU jump out to a 14-0 lead. Oklahoma was able to claw back. Field goal was able to take the lead 17-17, and they got their field goal, tied it up, and it was just back and forth, back and forth. Great play from Devin Barco. We had great play from Sewell Maivia, who's had one of his best games in a clutch game like this. He knew it was on the line, and he absolutely showed. He was the player of the game and ready for this moment. 4 touchdowns he had. He had 2 rushing, 2 passing, no interceptions, so he took very good care of the football. Over 475 passing yards. He threw the ball 60 times. So, they were just relying on him to make plays. Jeremy Speed making plays. LaRue making plays over 130 yards. Also, Bobby Winbush had over 130 yards. So, LSU was just locked in. Oklahoma was too, but just, coming up short there. And Kendrick almost 150 receiving yards for the Sooners. Got in the end zone for a touchdown, 11 for 149. Devin Barco, 1 pick, which ended up being a pick 6 to start the game to Vinny Ball. And that's where, you take away that play, and they had that game potential tying drive. They were not able to score, and it was a turnover on downs. LSU got it done and wanted to finish their season 11-1, and will be going to the SEC championship to take on Alabama once again to try to avenge their upsetting loss when they once were the number 1 team that Alabama was back in week 11. So, a lot going on here, guys. What a week it was. Bunch of big games. And that is it for the recap. Very quick recap right there. And now we're going to just pull up the feed so you guys can be able to see what the top 25 is looking like. Like I said, again, I didn't have the time to make the top 25 graphic. Just wasn't able to finish it. And let's go ahead and look in the game at what the new top 25 looks like. So here we go. Let me go ahead and turn that off. Number 1 is still Alabama. We got 2, Clemson. LSU jumps up from 5 to number 3. Colorado stays stationary at 4. Ohio State from 6 to 5. Penn State from 7 to 6. Tulane jumping 2 spots from 9 to 7. Illinois still at 8. Texas jumping a spot from 10 to 9. Oklahoma falling 7 spots down from 3 to 10. And this is why I said it was big for LSU to win this game, because if LSU had lost that game, they were the number 5 team in the country. They lose that game. We just saw Oklahoma drop 7 spots. I'm pretty sure as a number 5 team, you drop 7 spots, you're outside of that top 12 for the most part, and you were the lower seed. So LSU needed to win that game. Oklahoma still is in the playoffs based off of their seeding right now. Miami stays at number 11, as well as Oregon at 12. Nebraska jumping up a pair of spots from 15 to 13. So they're teetering, as I talked about, on trying to see if they can get into the playoffs. And this is big, guys, because, again, to talk about it, Miami, their conference championship game is coming up, and it's one that they're not going to be favored in. So Nebraska got a shot to just get in the playoffs if Miami is not able to win that game. That's crazy for the storyline with the earlier beef that happened within the year. But TCU goes up 4 spots from 18 to 14. UCLA jumping up 2 from 17 to 15. Georgia jumping 4 spots to 16. At Syracuse jumping 6 spots to 17. Tennessee jumping 6 spots themselves to 18. Utah 3 spots to 19. Kentucky wasn't ranked. Now they're ranked, jumped all the way up to 20 in the RFL College Series Top 25. You had Liberty at 25, now 21. Duke from 14, as I talked about, they just really ruined their shot, man. They had a shot to go to the playoffs. They were the 14th ranked team. Had they had just won, it could have been in there. But instead, completely out the playoffs now, dropping all the way to 22. Not ranked was USC. They are able to get ranked just in there at 23. Texas A&M falls 11 spots from 13. They were just outside. And now here they are, almost barely hanging on the top 25, man, at 24. And at 25, falling from 16, 9 spots, Auburn. Is the Auburn Tigers. So all I could say is, if I'm any of these teams, TCU now getting kind of in the grind of things, looking at it. You got Nebraska with a chance to make the playoffs. Oregon's in it right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm looking at it though. Oregon's not playing in the playoffs. No, in a conference championship game. Nebraska's not. TCU's not. So all this is going to stay the same. You said, who is this Calvin Poole? It's a guy who was here from before. Now he didn't create Calvin Poole. He just made a burner account. But he's generic. I guess just a Calvin Poole fan. And so that's why this is very interesting. This ACC championship game, man. Miami has to win, or if they don't, no playoffs. And that's going to get Nebraska in there, man. So, that's very interesting to look at. Texas not playing in the conference championship, so they're safe. Oklahoma is not playing in the conference championship. They're safe. Illinois safe, not playing in one. Tulane has to win theirs against Memphis, so that's big. Penn State's playing in one. Ohio State's playing in. Of course, those two are playing against each other. I think whoever loses that is still safe, though. So it's going to be interesting as long as nobody gets, blown out. But even though I think they're still safe. Colorado, they're playing in one. They don't want to lose. That would be pretty bad. They take an L to Utah as they're not even ranked. But I think they'll still be safe as they went undefeated. LSU not playing playing in one. So that's going to be big against Alabama. So these guys are safe. So, I think we got our teams for the playoffs, man. And unless Miami is able to hold it down, we're going to see Nebraska jump into the playoffs more than likely, man. So that's going to be pretty interesting. He says to me, when are applications for the college series? January. They open up the very first day, always in January 1st. So look forward to apply during that time. But yeah, we got to look at the top 25 power rankings, the top 25 rankings, and now let's go ahead and get a look at the uh, playoff bracket and what it would look like if we were to start the playoffs today. And then we're going to also get a look at what the conference championship games are looking like. But of course, this is going to change after the conference championship game. I definitely like last week's playoff bracket way better than this one, man. It's a lot more. All the games were kind of competitive, neck and neck. You didn't know who was going to win. You got a good one here. Get Oregon versus Ohio State. That game happened earlier within the season. Was pretty good and competitive. Excuse me. Ohio State won that one. And I guess I'm gonna go through this with my predictions. If I had to go through this, I think Ohio State wins that again and advances on to take on Colorado. Then we had Texas versus Illinois. Now, Illinois beat Ohio State. Illinois is not a team to sleep on, man. Texas, I don't know, man. I feel like Texas will come out on top of that one, though. So I'm taking Texas to advance on to face Alabama in the quarterfinals. Then Miami versus Penn State. I'm taking Miami if they are to hold it now. If they are to hold on, if they can defeat Clemson in that ACC championship game and literally retain their spot in the playoffs, they definitely, in my opinion, I think are down to beat Penn State. And how great would that be if they can make this in a sense happen? Which even if Miami does win, I don't think we're getting this matchup anyway. But if that was to happen, you'll have former transfer Dante Valentine facing his old team. That'd be pretty interesting. But I got Miami in that matchup, advancing on to face LSU. Then you had Oklahoma versus Tulane. Tulane, man, great undefeated season. This is the game you really want to show what you can do on tape and compete against a team like Oklahoma. But I don't see Tulane beating Oklahoma. So I'm taking Oklahoma to advance on to play Clemson. So from those matchups, Ohio State versus Colorado. I got Ohio State winning that one. That's pretty much well, I can't say easy gimme, but I just feel like this Colorado team, even though they have definitely impressed more than we expected, they're not on the same level as Ohio State. So I got Ohio State advances to the semifinals. Bama versus Texas. I'm taking Bama in that one, man. I just don't think that Texas' offense is going to be able to keep up. And Bama, has been looking really good here late in the season. So Ohio State, Bama in the semifinals. I got then you got LSU versus Miami would be my pick, and I'm taking LSU, man. The way as dominant as they looked in their last matchup when they first played each other, I know it was earlier within the season. LSU is still a very talented team, so I would take LSU in that matchup to advance to the quarterfinals. Oklahoma versus Clemson. I'm taking Clemson over Oklahoma. And in that matchup, Clemson versus it would be Clemson versus LSU and Alabama versus Ohio State in the semifinals, and what I think will be fire semifinal matchups. I'm taking Bama though over Ohio State, man. I think Bama will go to the national championship, and then LSU versus Clemson. I'm going to take Clemson. And so I think, once again, it's still the same as I predicted last week on the bracket. I think it's going to be Bama versus Clemson in the national championship. And who I think would win that, I'm going to go Bama, man. I'm going to go Bama. We'll see if that happens, if we can finally get a new champion. But, yeah, those are my predictions for the bracket. If you guys, kept along or want to make up your own, or who you think might win the national championship, look at this and let me know in the chat who you guys think would win the national championship here in CS8. That's the quick look at the bracket for you guys to see and my predictions on it. Now we will go to the conference championship games, man. So let's get a look at the standings. We're only getting a look at the top two teams because those are going to be the teams playing in the conference championship games. Not this week, but next week after the Army-Navy week, of course, games that we have coming up. So the ACC championship game is set. It's the old usual Clemson versus Miami in the RFL College Series. We didn't get this matchup last year after Miami got upset by Virginia Tech. They made sure not to make that happen this year, as they were able to obliterate Virginia Tech 70-31 a week in their last game. And here they are with a shot to beat Clemson, as similar to that Michigan-Ohio State game, man. That's a game that, technically they should have won, left points off the board because of the home field advantage and missed field goals. But this is a neutral site, and so field goals should not be an issue. Miami and Clemson, this should be a banger, man. Definitely a banger. That's what we got going on coming up. I'm gonna see if I can stay consistent with what I think, because we're gonna have another podcast more than likely next week, and I'm gonna try to predict who I think will win again and see if it stays the same. I got Clemson though in this one, man. I just feel like, you get that shot to beat Miami, right? I mean, to finally beat Clemson, right? And it's unfortunate the way it turned out, but you don't get a team like that twice with an opportunity, man. And so that's where I'm feeling like, man, I don't know. Clemson, they're just a team that finds a way to win, undefeated for a reason. So I'm going to take Clemson for the ACC championship game. The American championship game, we have Tulane versus Memphis. These guys played, of course, earlier within the season, and Tulane beat down on Memphis pretty bad, and I think they're going to do it again. So I'm taking Tulane as the American champs. I'm trying to remember who won the American Conference last year. It might have been Memphis, if I'm not mistaken, or was it Charlotte? It might have been Charlotte. I know Charlotte definitely played in that game last year. Yeah, I think it might have been Charlotte, guys. But yeah, I'm taking Tulane. Big 12, Colorado undefeated. Big surprise there, taking on Utah once again. Colorado beat them down pretty good last time, and I feel like it won't be a beat down like last time, but I have Utah. No, excuse me. But I have Colorado winning once again, man. I think I don't know what it is. I just feel like, Eric Alcorn just doesn't have that factor really too much to lead his team over a team like Colorado's defense. And it showed in that last matchup and a couple other games this season. So I'm taking the Colorado Buffs to win the Big 12 this year. Big 10, Ohio State versus Penn State. I'm going to go with Ohio State, man. Penn State had a significantly more weaker schedule. I don't think they really played much of anybody. Of course, they finished with Washington. They did beat USC, which is a big opponent, but Ohio State beat them too. And their only next best opponent, I'd say, that Penn State played after that was Washington. So, Ohio State has had their challenges, and I think that they win this one pretty handedly in the Big Ten Conference Championship over the Nittany Lions. Conference USA, we got Liberty versus Jacksonville State. Now, of course, we haven't seen many games between these guys. These guys have been getting extra game channel matchups. But I'm going to just go with Liberty. I just think they're the better team. You get a look at the overalls. I mean, Jackson State as a team, 64 across the board, except with a 66 defense. I don't think they get it done there with a 74 overall defense rated wise with the Liberty Flames. So I'm going with the Flames there in that one. No conference championship for the Independents. We got the MAC conference with Buffalo at 10-2 taking on Toledo, who I believe won the MAC conference. Yeah, they won the MAC conference last year and even ended up upsetting Oregon in the first round of the playoffs last year in CS7. Will they do it again against Buffalo? This is going to be pretty interesting, man. This is a tough one to call. To be honest, I haven't seen much of any of these teams. Buffalo does have a serious running back, though, on his team. So if I had to go, I'd probably just say Buffalo because they just have the slightly better talent. You can see it's kind of the same thing. Toledo is definitely better than what we saw from Jackson State. But, yeah, I'm going to just go with the Buffalo for their players. And Mountain West Conference, we got Boise State at 8-4 taking on 10-2 Wyoming. I feel like Boise State, though, is going to get the victory despite not having the record better than Wyoming. They only lost one game in conference. Wyoming did win all theirs. I didn't get to check, because most of these games weren't streamed. Again, they were SimWind. If they didn't get the extra games channel. I don't know if I seen Pecan in here or not. Oh, yeah, he's still at the wedding. Forgot he's not going to be here today. But yeah, Boise State, I got them beating Wyoming, man. I think if that game gets streamed, they're going to handle them. So got them winning the Mountain West. Pac-12, we don't have anything going there, of course. SEC, we now know it's locked. This is the big game. Alabama versus LSU. 11-1 teams, man. LSU looking for their vengeance. But with the way that Bama looked in their last matchup, man, and the way they just closed out the regular season, I got Bama once again beating LSU. Now, will it be as dominant? We don't know, but I got them winning in that one. So those, oh yeah, one more division to go over here. The Sun Belt. I think, yeah, we gotta go by East. So it is Appalachian State and Louisiana, and I believe they're at the top anyway on Sun Belt here. Let's see, yeah. Both teams 9-3, same conference record, 6-2. I'm gonna take App State, man. I think App State is the better team. Yeah, look at this, Louisiana, 62 overall team. How did they even? Ah, man, Sun Belt sucks. So yeah, I'm gonna take Appalachian State for the big for the Sun Belt. So those are my predictions for who I think will win their conference in the upcoming conference championship games, man. Let's go ahead and get a look at what's coming up this week. Is just one game, the Army-Navy game. You can see the records here. I mean, Navy is 2-9. That's awful. Army is bowl eligible at 6-5. Last year, though, Navy beat Army 30-3. So I think they even up the score in the second ever Army-Navy game in the RFL College Series. And I think Army gets it done, man. I think they win it and go 7-5 on the year, as Navy will fall to 2-10. But they lose again, and we got Pecan calling this one. He's part of the Army, man. Boy, that dude's gonna be sick. Yeah, 0-2 against Navy in this big game would be crazy. Army should win that matchup though. And so that's my prediction for this game. And to also talk about this game, it will not be played later in the week on Friday like most games. This game will be getting played on Tuesday. Pecan will be calling it, so make sure to tune into that game. Should be pretty interesting. I know nobody got anybody on either one of these teams or anything like that, but Army Navy games always just traditional thing, and we now got in the college series. Good to have, and it frees up our week to work on other things, to not worry about multiple games. So Army Navy week is pretty good for us for the RFL staff to work on other things. Yeah, so we're rolling by things pretty fast here on the podcast. We went through conference standings pretty much on who's playing in the conference championship games. Player of the week, look at that. We got player of the week, Jackson Willis, I guess we could say. We can get into awards, but I think before we get into awards, let's get a look at statistics, right? Well, actually, before we get into that, let's save that for last. Let's look at what they have for bowl games that are potentially coming up in this year's college series, man. So they got Old Dominion versus Bowling Green in the Ventures Bowl. That's a pretty decent matchup. I think those teams are pretty evenly matched in the series. We got Notre Dame and Utah right now in the Alamo Bowl. That's a pretty good matchup too. In the Arizona Bowl right now, Toledo versus New Mexico. Pretty interesting. I think that's even. Florida versus Memphis. That's pretty good, but I feel like Florida would beat them, man. I feel like Florida would beat them pretty good. We'll see. We'll see if they look anything like they did their last 2 weeks against Tennessee and Florida State. Yeah, Florida should run away with that easily if this matchup is to happen. Of course, we'll find out after the conference championship games. Maryland and Kent State they got. I think Maryland's going to wash Kent State because Maryland, I mean, he's really underrated, solidly good team this year. They had a lot of close games against really good teams. They started out 5-0, lost 6 straight games and close games against, really good Big Ten teams and some other squads. And then they won their last game to become bowl eligible. I think they're going to mob Kent State if that happens. Now, this is a good matchup, man. Georgia Tech versus Missouri. I think that's a pretty good evenly matchup, man. We got Florida International versus Georgia State, about even matchup. We already talked about the playoff matchups already, so we're going to skip all of those games there. The Cheez-It Bowl, Michigan versus UAB. I hope this doesn't happen because, boy, if this is the bowl game for Tremaine James, this guy's about to have over 2,500 rushing yards. Promise you he's going to have that. Like, he's going to run all over UAB. If he got 240 on Ohio State, UAB, man, they might lose by 70 in that game. And we got Jackson State versus Illinois, Northern Illinois. It's a pretty good matchup, I think. UCLA versus Cal. Cal's a little better. I mean, UCLA's been really good this year, man. I think they run away with that one. This is a good matchup. Wyoming versus Kennesaw State. Even though the record would say 10-2 to 6-6, Wyoming is not that good. USF and Stanford. That's a pretty good matchup right there. I like that one. Who I would pick to win? That's tough. The Fenway Bowl. I don't know, man. That's actually a really good neck and neck matchup after what we just saw Stanford do to Duke. I'd say Stanford probably in that one. UTSA versus Southern Miss. Pretty good matchup. And we got Iowa State versus North Texas. Iowa State, I think, runs away with that one. UTSA, I'll go with 2 on that previous one. Louisville versus Miami University. I think Louisville wins that one. Miami University is not that good. That's of Ohio, that is, of course. UNC versus Florida Atlantic. You know, you guys already know this is my squad. I hope we get a better squad than Florida Atlantic, because if this is the matchup, Florida Atlantic is getting stomped on. And then we have Tennessee versus Tulsa. And this is a match where Tulsa's getting stumped on. I hope they give a better matchup to Tennessee than this for their bowl game. That was a pretty interesting game. If I'm not mistaken, either Tulsa beat Tennessee last year in an upset, or it was a very close game last year. So this kind of got some history to it. San Diego State versus Rice, pretty interesting. I'm gonna take Rice. I saw an extra game from them, and I think they're a little bit better. Syracuse versus Nevada. I think they beat Nevada. Of course, I got to roll. That's Holiday Bowl. What bowl is that? Independence Bowl. Cincinnati versus UTEP. Cincinnati, I think they washed UTEP. And we got the LA Bowl. Boise State versus NC State. That should be pretty interesting. I'm going to take NC State, though. I think NC State beats Boise if this matchup goes down. Auburn versus Colorado State. Not a good matchup, man. Auburn should dog them. Kentucky versus Baylor. How interesting. It's like storylines just create themselves, right? Literally, Kentucky's quarterback last year transferred after his freshman year to Baylor and would have to play him in the Liberty Bowl. That would be dope to see that. That would be very dope to see that, and a good matchup at that too. I would take Kentucky, though, over Baylor in that one, man. I like how Zach Asamoah has been looking. I think he'll get it done. Okay, we got, what bowl is this? Go Bowling Military Bowl. Pittsburgh versus East Carolina. I'm taking Pitt easily in that one. Nebraska versus Georgia. Now, Nebraska more than likely is going to be a playoff team. They are going to be a playoff team. I'm pretty sure if Miami loses the ACC championship game. So we most likely won't be seeing this matchup in the Music City Bowl. But say, for instance, if Miami does get that win, man, this is a really good bowl game matchup. Georgia versus Nebraska. Man, who I would take in this one? That's tough. That is tough. I'm gonna take. That's tough, man. I don't even know. Off the strength, I say Georgia. I'll just say Georgia in this one and that one. But yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, that's a really good matchup. I'll just say Georgia, though. Army versus James Madison. That's a good little matchup in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I'm taking James Madison. Army just terrible against other teams. Their offense is, not good. West Virginia versus Louisiana. This is not even close. West Virginia winning that one easy in the New Mexico Bowl. Liberty versus Coastal Carolina. Taking Liberty in that matchup in the New Orleans Bowl. Again, this is playoff stuff we went over already. Florida State versus TCU. That's a good bowl game there in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Yeah, that's a good matchup. I'm going to take TCU. I'll take TCU in that matchup if it went down. The Rate Bowl, USC versus Arizona State. USC, I'm taking in that one. Arizona State was okay, but I don't got them beating USC. ReliaQuest Bowl against Minnesota. This is a pretty good matchup, but I got Washington beat Minnesota. Then we have Salute to Veterans Bowl and Buffalo versus Appalachian State. Pretty good matchup. I'll take Buffalo though. Duke versus Arkansas State. This ain't even fair for the Sun Bowl. Definitely taking Duke in that one. And then Texas A&M versus Oklahoma State. That's a good one right there for the Texas Bowl. I'm gonna take Texas A&M though. I don't like the side-to-side lateral game that Oklahoma State kind of plays, which I think really hindered them from being a playoff team like they were last year. So I think Texas A&M, they've upsetted some good teams this year, and I think they can win that bowl if it was to go down. So those are right now the current bowl game projections for CS8 and who I think might come out on top of those matchups. With that, now it's time to get into some statistics. All right, let's get a look at passing leaders. All right. So I'm not going to go all the way down lists and stuff like that, but nationally, leading the series in passing yards is Danny Johnson with 5,327 yards. He had 40 touchdown passes, was high up there in interceptions, though, with 21 of those things. The completion percentages were sky high, man. There was nothing I could do sliders wise to fix that. That wouldn't affect the game too much. So, unfortunately, guys, that's what we had to deal with. But, yeah, don't pay attention to completion percentages, really. A great season, man. He almost 500. Excuse me for the yawns, guys. I'm gassed out, but almost 500 yards. He's 450 more passing yards than the next guy, which was TCU's David Cage. He had a really good year too, man. He had more than less than half the interceptions that Danny Johnson had, with 10 and 43 touchdown passes. So that's huge right there for TCU. And Cage. Dante Taylor broke top 3 touchdown and passing yards with 4,787. 38 touchdown passes, 14 interceptions. So really good year there for Dante. You got the freshman Baylor Kennedy. He threw 40 touchdown passes, but just like Danny Johnson, less yards. He had 20 picks, but for a freshman year, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. I'm going top 10 in every category here. And then if guys want to look, I'll leave it up to the chat to look at anyone else's stats, or should. I'm going to ask the chat now, do you guys, like, after I go through top 10 and main stat categories on who's leading in those areas, do you guys want me to, go straight to the award winners, go through that, and then ask who wants to look at their specific stats if I don't get to them? Or do you want to go to look at specific stats after I go through them, and then we finish off with the awards? Let me know in the chat. But yeah, you got Lorenzo Griggs, USF's quarterback, 4,633 yards, 38 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Devin Norton, Tulane, 4,624 yards. He had 47 touchdowns, man. 6 interceptions. He said stats first, awards first. Okay, so we're 50-50 on that one. DJ Irvin, man, this was mixed boy at first at the end of the season. At the start of the season, man, but boy, did he go downhill. 18 touchdown passes to 24 interceptions, man. 4,599 yards passing. He was able to end the regular season with for Ole Miss as a dual threat. Greg Denbo with that undefeated Colorado Buffs team, 40 touchdown passes, 4,569 yards, 11 interceptions. That's big. I see guys talking about awards. So we'll do awards and then we'll go to whoever wants to look at their stats afterwards. Then. So how many did I go to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, last two. We got Jonathan Wilson breaking in the top 10 passing yards with 4,564. He had 34 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So way better than what he did last year. And then for top 10 in passing yards to cap it off, we had Ben Calcaterra, 4,557, 35 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Honorable mention, though, to bring up, we got two guys I could bring up right here, and Devin Barco with 45-31, and 38 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. And last year's Hunter Mackey Award winner, Heisman winner, as you could say, Jaden Young, 4,517 yards, 37 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So there's your pass yards. Let's look at who led top 10 in passing touchdowns. 47 for Devin Norden. Yeah, 43 for David Cage. 40 for Danny Johnson. 40 for Baylor Kennedy. 40 for Greg Denbo. 38 for Dante Taylor. 38 for Lorenzo Griggs. 38 for Zach Asamoah from Kentucky. Didn't get a look at his stats. He drew for over 4,000 yards, only 7 interceptions. That's a great stat line. Talked about Devin Barco, 38 touchdowns. Then we got this Florida International guy, 37 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, but pretty sure 90% of his games weren't even streamed. So, we really don't have a good glimpse of what this guy's able to do. I'm going to try to stay away from really throwing those guys into the draft. Unless it's just like, yeah, we need to fill in with weaker end guys. Well, let me see. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, it's top 10 in passing touchdowns. Let's see who led top 10 in interceptions this year in the college series. DJ Irvin, the most interceptions in the college series with 24. Then we had Central Michigan's Tavon Robert, 22. Arizona's Jabari Azukanma with 22 as well. Yeah, Danny Johnson, top 5 in interceptions at 4 with 21. Baylor Kennedy with 20. Jamie Mannery from San Diego State. A guy, again, we didn't get to see many of his games. Washington's Pat Miranda. Didn't talk about him. He had 28 touchdowns, though, with 20 interceptions, 3,680 yards. That's a guy who, he's up there with interceptions. We got this is Jamie Cahill from Miami of Ohio, 20 interceptions, 37 touchdowns. Another guy who got most of his games simmed. Gil Levine, 19 touchdowns, 19 picks. So another guy we didn't see games of. Wake Forest went winless this year. And he went 19-19 as well. Lester Carswell. I think is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so that's the top 10 in interceptions, guys. Again, not trying to go down the whole list because, yeah, it'll take a long time. I tried to do that before. And now, who's the most sacked quarterback? Most sacked quarterbacks. Indiana's Terrence Hollis. Okay, 89 times he got sacked. Let's see the first user. Eric Wellnitz, 58 times he was sacked. Tough, man. Tough year with the Badgers this time. All right. Any other statistics to look at real fast? No, that's good. That's all the quarterback main guys right there for top 10s. Top 10 rushing categories. Look at this stat line, man. Tremaine James had 391 rushing attempts. Did he have the most attempts? Yeah, no one had more carries than Tremaine James, though, but still to have 2,232 rushing yards and average 5.7 yards a carry is ridiculous. He had that many carries and still had that great of an average, almost 6 yards a pop and 21 touchdowns. Real deal, man. Real deal. So he led the nation in rushing yards, clearly will. Then we had Vince Reed, man, another guy, 2 back-to-back years with this type of performance from Vince Reed as the generic from Utah. 1,750 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, a 5.5 yard per carry average. Zach Tank for Florida is coming in at 3, 1,690, 12 touchdowns as well with a 5 yard per carry average. At 4, we have generic running back who, again, we didn't get to see many of his games because of the team he plays for. Is Buffalo. Niles Takeoff. What a name. He took off for 1,628 yards, 19 touchdowns, though, man. So, again, for a grain of salt, you gotta look at those statistics because, again, those games mainly didn't get simmed by us. Boston College Barry Hatch had 1,559 yards, 15 touchdowns. We've seen quite a bit of Boston College games, so he was pretty much doing this in the series. From what we were watching, 4.9 yard per carry average. That's good. 15 touchdowns, though, man. Good. Tim French from Nebraska, definitely saw his games. 1,530, 17 touchdowns for him. Shady Houston for Texas. 1,467, 21 touchdowns for the Longhorns with a 5.4 yard per carry average. Then we had Chase Duvernay. He had a decent amount of games that were shown in the college series this year. We saw some Cincinnati games. 4.5 yard per carry average, 11 touchdowns, 1,448. Jamil Morris for Tennessee. He was tearing it up, man. 19 touchdowns. He had 1,432 yards, a 4.9 yard per carry average. So, yeah, ripping it up there. And I think coming in at number 10 here is Bo Sanders. Had only 232 yards per carry. This guy averaged 6 yards a pop, 1,397 yards, and 26 rushing touchdowns to lead the nation. Let me make sure this is top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Yep, that was a top 10 in rushing yards. Now let's see who led in rushing touchdowns. Obviously, we know Bo Sanders with 26. Coming in at second is Tremaine James. Then we had Shady Houston, both with 21 touchdowns. Fourth was Andre Romano, who won running back of the year last season with 20. So we had 4 backs with 20 touchdowns this year. At 5, we had Niles Takeoff with 19. 6, Jamil Morris with the 19. 7, we had Vince Hunden, Duke's running back. We've seen him actually perform. So 19 touchdowns. One game he had 6 touchdowns in one game. Then we had Kent State's Travis Rogers. Didn't get to see much of his games. Most of his games was simmed again because he was part of a team that wasn't really, balling. 18 touchdowns for him. Less than 1,000 yards with 958. Almost 1,000 yards for Cal's running back Matthew Alexander. He had 18 touchdowns. James Madison running back Pat Dombrowski had 18 touchdowns. Deron Hagg, 18 touchdowns, and Jeremy Speed had 18 touchdowns. Deron Hagg had decent, about half, a little bit, maybe more than half of his games were recorded. And he went off 5.5 yard per carry average, 18 touchdowns is good for 1,356 and 1,204 for Jeremy Speed. Definitely saw all his games, played every week, 18 touchdowns. Those are top, little bit over top 10 in rushing touchdowns, tying up in that category. Who had the most 20-yard runs? Obviously, Tremaine James with 19. We had Old Dominion guy at 19 of those things, but obviously we never saw any of his games. Tim French had 17. Okay. Any other guy? I'm just going to quickly go through this, looking for a couple guys. And Vince Reed comes in next as a user known guy with 14 with Zach Tank as well. So just a quick skim through there. Who broke the most tackles in the country? Tremaine James, 92. 92 broken tackles, man. This guy was an absolute monster. Again, sorry that I'm looking off to the side. If I try to look at the screen like how you have it here, it's kind of delayed, and I can't read it because the text is kind of small. So sorry about that. I'm not like engaging with my eyes straight to the camera, but just want to make sure I'm reading things off right. The next closest guy with broken tackles was Arizona's Jarek. What is this? Bargava. I think that's how you say it. Bargava. He had 77. You saw some Arizona games. Didn't see any Southern Miss games like that at all. Cincinnati's back. 58 from Chase Duvernay. Had the most yak. Tremaine James, man. He's leading everything, man. 850 yak. Next closest guy, Old Dominion's guy, Zach Tank had 604, so that's good. Bray Hatch 605. Okay. Longest run of the college series, Duron Hag. Obviously, that didn't happen in the game we recorded. 100-yard run. I don't even know how that's possible. It should have been a safety, right? That was at literally the crumb yard line. That's how close they were. Aaron Buck had a 93-yard rush, so definitely saw that game happen. Saw that happen in the game. So that's the biggest one on live that we saw, Aaron Buck. Deion Leon, too. NC State had one, 90 yards. Pretty interesting. All right, who fumbled the most? Okay, that's not, let's see, a known person who fumbled the most. I mean, that's a quarterback. Danny Johnson fumbled 8 times. It's a running back that fumbled the most that we know. Casey Rouse had 5. Looks like most running backs held on to the football, man. There's no running back that we like know of that we've watched that's fumbled like that. That's good. And most of his quarterbacks, which is going to happen off of sacks. Yeah. Still have not seen a running back yet. And we're down to 3. Okay, here we go. The first one is Isaiah Fuller. He had 3 of them. But 3 fumbles in the season, that's not good either like that. But it's not the worst, but it's about average probably for guys who have some ball security. And we're down to 2 now. So I mean, at this point, ain't no point in looking any more into that. And that's it for the running back stats, man. Now it's time to get the receiving stats. And I already talked about the guy who's at the top right here. I mean, look at this stat line, man. Jackson Willis for sure about to have a 2,000-yard receiving season. 130 receptions. I think he led the country in catches too. Yeah. Not even he's 13 more receptions, pretty much a full game if somebody was getting heavily targeted over the next man, which is USF's Kadavius Swope. And man, 130 catches, 1,981 yards, 19 touchdowns. That's ridiculous right there, man. Absolutely monster of a season. Swope, 11 touchdowns, 1,403 yards. We had Roland Pettis, Colorado's receiver. Oh, yeah, I don't think I have this organized in yards. Never mind. I don't. Yeah, so the next receiving guy is Ezekiel Kuhn for Florida State. He had 1,451, 12 touchdowns. He was eating this year for the Seminoles. Already went over Swope. UNC's Jameek Brink had himself 1,354 yards, 11 touchdowns. Great year. The tight end. Got a tight end up here. Top 5 in receiving yards, man. 1,335 receiving yards for Sean Vierling from Memphis. That's beast mode right there. 6 touchdowns. Wow. Rohan Boxy, top 10. Freshman receiver. 1,331, 11 touchdowns, 109 catches. He was eating. Mohammed Abukam, He had 1,325, only 2 touchdowns though. So he was tearing it up in the yards, getting them down the field. He was not scoring though, so that's tough. Um, Matt Lowell, 1,309, 11 touchdowns, 87 receptions. And I think this is 10 right here. Corey Polly, um, his best year for sure in the college series, 1,287 yards, 14 touchdowns, 99 receptions. Looking for his 100th, of course, in the conference championship game that he's got coming up. And is that 10? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 10 will be after Polly. So this guy right here, Mike Gaines, Western Kentucky. We never saw any of his games because he went to Western Kentucky. 1,285 yards, 15 touchdowns. So again, you got to take those performances with a grain of salt. Who had the most receiving touchdowns? Obviously, it's Jackson Willis with 19. Next up, you had Miami of Ohio's Edward Greenidge with 16. Brett Heitman had 16 for Oregon. Yeah, Jaquan Adler, 15 for Liberty. 15 for A.J. Smith from San Diego State. Mike Gaines, who we talked about. Fetu Manu Maluna. Fetu Malamanuna. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He had 15 touchdowns for Colorado, so they had some dogs for catching the ball outside there. How about Khaled Lemon? Big time breakout year for him. 1,276 yards, 15 touchdowns for him. Yeah, Wayne Caesar for Buffalo. Again, didn't get to see his games because they were barely recorded. 1,070 yards, 14 touchdowns. Corey Pilot with the 14. The rest of the 14, we got Bargava again from Old Dominion. This is another guy. We got to see most of his games, so these are pretty honest stats here. 84 receptions, 1,221 yards, and 14 touchdowns for Kawabena. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Adeyemi. Definitely African. That's what I could say. And then Jason Aikman and himself 14 touchdowns, less than 1,000 yards, 45, 67 receptions. And I think that's top 10 there. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, definitely over that. Who had the longest reception? 99-yarder from BYU. Now, BYU games did get recorded, so this could be a real deal from Via. I don't remember it, though. 95-yarder, though. This definitely got recorded. Clemson's Trayvon Simpson Jr. So Clemson getting one right there. Let's see if anybody else we know had a long one. Samuel Van Brocklin, submitted player, had a 91-yarder for Ole Miss. And yeah, that's all we got really for the 90s. Who had the most yards after contact? Obviously, Jackson Willis with 739. But Abraham Powers, this is why for a minute he was leading for Heisman for a while because he was killing running and catching, but that definitely slowed down a lot towards the later end, his last few games. With 714 yards after the catch. Of course, he's a running back. He had a lot of screens and stuff, but yeah, he was eating out the backfield. Jameek Brink had all sixes. I ain't saying that. No, I ain't saying that. But yeah. Zolak. Look at this. Zion Taylor here, 609, top 5 in rack yards after the catch. Dior Gore, 605. If we haven't had Dior Gore's name at all like that. Of course, they had a bunch of targets to throw to this year. But yeah, 1,231 yards, 11 touchdowns. And yeah, let's look see if we can find one more guy. And Brockman 533 there. Yeah, Gabe Schumacher, a couple of them guys. Who dropped the ball the most? Tight end Sean Vierling, 19 drops. Jeez. Bobby Winbush, receiver-wise, had the most drops in the country with 13. So, he was a same deal with Rohan Boxy. So, freshman coming in, dropping a pill. Jackson Willis dropping a pill a little bit. A lot of had the most targets, though. 12 drops. Mamadou Sanyalu, he definitely had a drop issue this year. Saw a lot of games where he was, missing opportunities. He had 12 of those things. Jean Pierre, he definitely had some drop issues, even last year too. 11 reception, 11 drops. Aaron Kendricks with 11 drops. Some known guys there. And that's it for the receiving stats, man. You can't really go off of blocking stats like that, but let's look at yeah, we really can't go off of that. That would have to be individually, so it's gonna be a lot of zeros and sacks given up. Now we can do pancakes and stuff, but like you would have to literally go to those players individually, and yeah, can't do that. That'll take much longer. It's hard to even go up a defense. We have to go by conference kind of and just look at who the top guy is, because it would take forever. Because defensive stats, because of so many players, this does not come out right. So it says 171 tackles, but I'm pretty sure you go somewhere else, someone's got more tackles than that. You see 168. Let's see who just leads each conference and then just move on from there, right? So ACC leader in tackles, we had top three. How about we do that? Kentrell Heaney with 168. Virginia Tech's Clayton Waiters with 147. And Boston College's Ty McGlynn with 146. And tackles there to lead the ACC. To lead the American, your top three tacklers are Patrick Leal with 165. Evan Durbin, Memphis, 138. And another Memphis player in Austin Studebaker with 123. Then we get into the Big 12. And leading in tackles had Colorado's Marquez Clemens, 162. West Virginia's Levante Vaughn, 158. And Utah's Donald Summers, a generic player that came back. So his sophomore year, he played 2 years in college series. Big 10 tackle leader, James DeLeon for USC with 160. 158 for George Boss from Illinois. And 157 from freshman linebacker Sergio Moreno Jr. with 157. Conference USA, what they got going on? Greg Aporum, I'm gonna say that's how you say it. 121 he had. Joe Paris, Sam Houston at 115, along with LA Tech's Kevin Becker. And independent wise, it's only two teams in here, but Notre Dame at Seth Marler with 125. And UConn, Matt Upshaw with 111. And 103 from Joey Bowenko. MAC Conference, 130 from Dom LaBelle. 122 from Ohio, from Tyler Rosas. And Eastern Michigan's Craig Brown had 110. Mountain West top three tacklers, you had Jamie Hollis with 115. At Colorado State's Vaughn Sams with 105 and 100 on the dot for Nevada's DeMar Dumaine. Pac-12, only two teams. We got Enrique Reynoso with 123. Another Oregon State guy, Garrison Dobbins with 108 and 94 for Washington State's Emmanuel Gatto. SEC leading tacklers. I guess they were accurate with this. 171 tackles for James Matlock. He had 161. Another Ole Miss player with Carlos Juravicius. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And 160 from Ole Miss. So top three tacklers, all Ole Miss. I don't think that's a good thing. And that means they was on defense a lot. Antoine Traywin with 160 there. Top three in SEC. No other school, I'm surprised. The next one that isn't Ole Miss is Ryan Bryant, linebacker for Oklahoma. And then Sun Belt, you had 126 from Jabari Scarlett. Georgia Southern. From I think is that Lafayette Monroe or something like that. Landry Tompkins, 118, and from South Alabama, James Casey at 110. And I think, yeah, that's it for the top guys conference wise. Let's go in terms of tackles. Let's see who led their conferences and top three in tackles for loss. ACC, Jacquez Edwards with 40 from Miami. Duke at second. They have Juba at Akindele at 36. And then another Miami player, DeMarcus Woolfolk with 35 TFLs. Trying to go through this fast. For American, Tulane's Corey Whalen had 38. Memphis came in second with Jermaine Monty at 36. And 36 as well for Tulane's Cordell Radis. Big 12, Ty Darnold, his defensive tackle. This guy had a monster year, man. We'll get into his stats too, because you can see I think he leads the conference in sacks too, with 45 TFLs at the D tackle position. From TCU, Donald Summers from Utah at 41, and Oscar Mulligan from Oklahoma State had 39. We'll go with the other 39s here too. Iowa State, Tyrone Moray. And Baylor's Kevin Sawyer. So there you go, Rodney getting somebody. 39 TFLs. Big 10 and TFLs. Wyatt Harris had 62 TFLs. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure he led the nation in that. Randy Wilson, 42 from Oregon. And then we have Titus Verrett from Minnesota with 41. Conference USA, 19 TFLs from Darwin Dell from Liberty. Another Liberty player, Anthony Kroger, same amount. And Sam Houston's Eric President at 19 TFLs as well. Tackle for loss from Independence, you had Sean Kindred from UConn with 31. 30 from Raymond Flowers from Notre Dame. And Notre Dame's Rondell Smith Jr. had 29. And another 29 is Demarius Regis from Notre Dame as well. MAC TFL leaders. This one, they didn't have a lot. Only 17 for DeAndre Mount from Buffalo. We had Jamerson Ingram with 16 from Miami of Ohio. And Garrett Jennings from Central Michigan with 15. Of course, it's the conference that barely had any games recorded. So can't really look at those. And that's why those are, which kind of tells us that a lot of TFLs that just happened in sim play. So, hopefully Madden kind of gets that a little bit fixed up, or maybe we could try to help out with sliders, but when it comes to that, but we don't want to boost too much. Malik Gantz at 22 TFLs for San Diego State. 21 TFLs for Bob Schuerman from Hawaii. And then from Wyoming, Lloyd Watt at 18 TFLs. Top three, Pac-12. 20 TFLs from Lyle Harris from Washington State. Another Washington State player, Nate Sanders, with 19. We had 16 from Brian D'Imperio, all from Washington State. And another 16 here from one from Oregon State, Enrique Reynoso. We talked about him. He led the conference in tackles. All right, SEC leading in TFLs. Ethan Marks, defensive end, user player from Florida, 43. And his counterpart, Manny Rojas, with 42. Right there from the Gators. And Avery Vickers at 41 from Tennessee. And David Magoo, Texas A&M, getting in there with 41 as well. And lastly, Sun Belt top three TFLers. You had Terrell Ezeki. We'll just go to Ezeki from Georgia Southern at 19. Also from the Raging Cajuns, Louisiana, Rashad Kennedy. And Appalachian State's junior Afamasaga. Afamasaga. Hopefully I'm saying that right. 19 TFLs there. So that's it for that category, which brings us back up top, leading to see who leads their conference in sacks. And here we go. In the ACC, Jaquez Edwards led in sacks with 19.5. We had Pittsburgh's Nick Gillikin with 18. We had 17.5 from Duke's Artez Wiggins. And another 17.5 here from SMU's Tevin Leach. Those are your top guys in sacks there. ACC and American, you had Jermaine Monty with 13.5 sacks from Memphis. Tulane's Corey Whalen had 12 sacks. And another 12 sacks from Taluia. I'm going to say Talia O. Go with that. 12 sacks. Top 3 right there. Big 12 in sacks. 29 sacks from Ty Darnold from TCU. Then we had Cole Lyles from Colorado with 22 sacks and 20.5 sacks coming from Oscar Mulligan from Oklahoma State. Big 10 sack leaders. Look at this, man. 30.5 sacks. I mean, he broke the record for sacks last year in CS7. Here he is tying with the previous record before he broke it with Jermaine Taylor with 30.5, man. So, hey, man. Boy, Wyatt Harris, consistent dog leading that Big 10. 18.5 sacks from Greg Cantrell from Oregon. And he had another 18.5 sacks from Nick Oakwood from Ohio State. He had, I think he actually broke the sack record last year. Yeah, I think it was him. But yeah, he has 18.5 sacks. Another 18.5 sacks from Oregon's Raheem Underwood. 18.5 sacks from Ishmael Ibarra from Penn State's defensive tackle. And the last 18.5 sacks is Ohio State's Will Woolfolk. It's crazy. They got 3 players on their defense with at least 18.5 sacks. Crazy. All right, so that's it for the Big 10. Conference USA, 11.5 sacks from Delaware's J.P. Smith. 9 sacks from Kalen Proctor from Liberty. And 9 sacks from Liberty's Anthony Kroger, called his name earlier. Independent sack leaders, you had Demarius Regis with 16.5. 12 from Sean Kindred from UConn. And another UConn, Miguel Toviasi. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But 9.5 sacks from him. And Notre Dame's Craig Hutton had 9.5 sacks as well. MAC Conference leading in sacks is DeAndre Mount with 10. Said his name earlier. Jameson Ingram earlier too. He had 6.5. We got 6 from Mac Bowman and Bowman and Alani Casatati with 6 for UMass. Mountain West Conference leading in sacks. Malik Gant from San Diego State, 12.5. At 10 sacks from Bob Schuerman from Hawaii. Spoke with him earlier. And then Tua Lapuao. I think I'm saying that right. 8 sacks from Colorado State. Pac-12 sack leaders. You had 13 sacks from Nate Sanders. 9 from Lyle Harris. Nate Sanders, both of these guys coming from Washington State, and of course the third one coming from Washington State, and Brian D'Ampurio, excuse me. SEC sack leaders, Manny Rojas with 21.5 sacks. Then you had Akeem Bean from Oklahoma with 17.5. Rojas, of course, from Florida too. And then look at that, not too far off, top 3 with him is Ethan Marks, who led last year. He's got 17 this year. And Sun Belt top 3 sack leaders. You got Terrell Ezeki, talked about him, 10.5. Got 9.5 from Tyrone Vaughn from Appalachian State. 8 from Rashad Kennedy. Yeah, Kennedy, and Cooper Duvernay from Texas State had 8 sacks as well. And so that's it for conference sack leaders. Let's get a look at who led their conference in interceptions. Matt Polk led the ACC in interceptions with 8. Then following him was Juan Redding with 7 from Clemson. Again, Matt Polk from Miami. 6 interceptions from DeMarcus Rome from Florida State. Then we had 6 interceptions from Jarrell Figueroa from NC State. American pick leaders. Dorian Farrell with 9 interceptions for the Green Wave. Jose Trinidad had 6. And then we had 5 from Dwayne Shepley from USF. The top 3 pick leaders right there. Big 12 pick leaders got 8 from Nick Stock from Arizona. 6 from Philip Costanzo from BYU. 6 from Spencer Jefferson from Colorado. Another Colorado player had 6, Dwayne Sanders. This team led the nation in interceptions this year. And another 6 coming from Iowa State's Craig Hales. Big 10 pick leaders. And he led the nation. Kevin Book had 12 interceptions. Big time. For USC. Maryland's Jalen Jamerson had 8 interceptions. Minnesota's Rashawn Bohannon had 8 interceptions. And Iowa's Trent Yoder had 8 interceptions. Conference USA pick leaders. Rob Gostowski. I think that's how you say it. Gostowski. Yeah, he had 6 interceptions from Florida International. Sam Houston's Kareem Hagg had himself 5. Tavares Leyva from LA Tech had 5. Another LA Tech player, Jamerson Gainwell, had 5. And Delaware's Carl Trueblood had 5 interceptions as well. Independents leading in picks was D'Angelo Brown from Notre Dame with 5. Danny Cisco from Notre Dame with 4. And Thomas Carter from Notre Dame with 3. MAC Conference pick leaders. Bruce Kidd, Kent State, 7. He had 6 from Ball State's Eric Fayad. And 5 picks from Brian Slater from Central Michigan. Mountain West pick leaders. Frank Abdesmat. Hopefully I'm saying that right. But 8 picks from him. He had 6 picks from Hawaii's Corbin McLaughlin. 6 picks, 5 picks from Boise State's Marquez Smoker. He had 5 picks from him. Pac-12 had 3 picks from Tailu. Well, we're gonna go with T, man. I've said that name before, but I forgot how I pronounced it. And then Pua had 3 picks. Oregon State's Garrison Dobbins had 3 picks too. Washington State's Denard Ragamba with 2. SEC pick leader got 7 from Kentucky's Sean Redmond. As a linebacker too. Vaughn Sieg from Oklahoma with 7 as well. George Ellington with 6 from Texas A&M. Brian Bryant, linebacker there from Oklahoma with 6. And Oklahoma's Antoine Tour with 6 as well from the Sooners. And finally, the Sun Belt and pick leaders. Trevor McRae with 6. Greg Clifton with 5. Leon Russell with 4. Another with 4. Monty Jaguar. And Terrell Hunt from Coastal Carolina. These are the guys from Louisiana, Southern Miss, and Old Dominion. Coastal Carolina again right there. And that's it right there. For those, is there anything else? Who led fumbles? Now let's go nationally because I think this is accurate if we're talking about fumbles and stuff like that. Who got the most pass deflections? Yeah, this isn't accurate. Quick pass deflection leaders. You got 24 from Matt Polk. I think he might have led the country. You got 20 from Brian Robinson. 14 there. See who's got up there in the 20s, man. This is a category we don't have to go all the way through for top three. You got 20 from Memphis's Ruben Fioco. Not 20 there, but 17. Big 10. You got 18 from Quick. 12 there. 16. Yeah, so those 20 and up guys, they were really around the ball making plays. SEC, we got a 20 guy. Yeah, there we go. Econom. And 14 there. So that's big right there for deflections. Forced fumbles. Who forced the most fumbles? 4 forced fumbles here from. Okay, we got Leach, Wiggins. 3 forced fumbles right there from Russo. 4 from Ty Darnold, man. This guy was balling, man. Led the conference in sacks, TFLs. Got 4 forced fumbles leading that. That dude was eating. Iowa State's Tyrone Murray at 4. 4 fumbles from Joel and Twine. 3 there. Let's see, is there any other guys with like 4 fumbles or more? Like Cordell Chestnut from Western Michigan. 5 forced fumbles right here from Von Sams. He might have the most. Let's see what SEC got. 4 forced fumbles. Yeah, Redmond, Kevin Choice, and 4 right there, Tremaine. So yeah, they were smacking. And the last thing we could check here, let's see who's got touchdowns. More than 1 touchdown. Is there any player that got more than 1 defensive touchdown? 3 defensive touchdowns from Brandon Cherry, LSU's cornerback. We got 2 from Dante Christmas from Kentucky. JoJo Carter got 2. George Ellington with 2. And Von Sieg with 2. No touchdowns at all in Pac-12 teams. No double-digit touchdowns. Nope, they ain't got double-digit touchdowns. Big 10, we got 3 touchdowns here from Rashad Bohannon, cornerback from Minnesota. 2 from Jeremy Frazier, Minnesota. Tavares Brooks, a linebacker there from Illinois. Pablo Montoya, defensive tackle, came up with 2 defensive touchdowns. And that's a user-submitted player. Zion Anderson Jr. had 2 defensive touchdowns, and R.J. Alcorn had 2 defensive touchdowns. Big 12, 3 touchdowns from Marquez Clemens, and 2 from Omar Delps, a returning generic for Utah. American Conference had 2 from Melvin Redmond. And ACC, 2 from Chad Berlin. All right, so that's it for the statistical leaders by conference, man. We're not going to go over kicking and returning and stuff like that, man. Well, we could do returns. Let's see who all scored a touchdown this year in kick returns. So we only had, nationally, we should be able to pull this up. Ooh, 2 kick return touchdowns from Buddha Golston. And we had one from Magan, Aaronrich, Arakpo, Hutton. Yeah, a lot of kick return touchdowns, man. Was most of these recorded? Not all the way sure. Wells, Vestro, Cook, Cantrell, Kuhn. This guy was eating almost 1,000-yard returning too. Westbrook from TCU, Virgil, and Skaggs. So those returns there. Punt return touchdowns. We had a few of those. Yeah, 5 this year. Cameron Dennis from Air Force. Brendan Cherry. He already had 3 defensive touchdowns. Now here's with punt return for a touchdown too. Cooper, yeah, from San Diego. Dominique Taylor Sims. I remember his. His was fire. And Oscar Dar Those are the returning touchdowns and all the stats right there for stat leaders, man. Again, going in depth on this live, man. Just want to make sure I hit. I'm getting close to 2 hours. And now we're going to get a look at the award leaders, man. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I'll put this away so that way I can save. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna close this real fast so that way I can save the. Won't spoil the Heisman. I'll save that for last. But coach. All right, so there we go. Leading in quarterback of the year, we got Jaden Young right now for that quarterback of the year right now, guys. So he is still holding on to that, and he's got a conference championship game. So I think Jaden Young, Dante Taylor has a conference championship game too, and so does Devin Norden. So it's definitely going to be between these three guys right here on who's going to win quarterback of the year, which is for us the Drake Royal Award. Let's see what's next. Best defensive player, Wyatt Harris, looking to win this again. I think he's got this one locked, man. For a guy who's got over 60 TFLs. He's also got leads the nation in sacks once again for another year, 30 and a half. There just hasn't been any more of a defensive player in that position than the Wyatt Harris, man. I think he's got that award on lock. Of course, it's the same thing right there. Defensive back of the year, we got Kevin Book, who leads the nation in interceptions with 12. And right below him is, Matt Polk. Matt Polk's got a got a conference championship game though, man. So, we'll see if he can come up with some picks in that game. Dante Small's in the mix a little bit too here from Miami, but I think it's definitely going to be between Matt Polk and Kevin Book. Running back of the year, Tremaine James, hands down. Bo Sanders does have a little bit of an opportunity because he does lead the nation in touchdowns. He has a higher yard per carry average. He's done a lot and almost half the carries that Tremaine James has had. So don't go off automatically giving it to James because of how crazy his statistics look. Bo Sanders still has been performing very well as well and has 5 more touchdowns than him. And again, Michigan's not playing in the conference championship game. Bo is. Wide receiver of the year, I'm pretty sure this is set in stone. Freshman Jackson Willis. He's just been killing it, man. I think he's got this on lock. He's about to be the first receiver. I don't think there's been a receiver to reach over 2,000 yards. If anybody can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's literally 19 yards away from that. Dude is the real deal. Year one to come out and ball like that, it's crazy. Wyatt Harris for defensive lineman of the year. You seen Darnold. He had a monster year too, but still Wyatt Harris still was just that much more dominant. Got senior quarterbacks, which we don't do. Defensive end of the year, which is kind of throwing me off here because Randy Wilson does not have the amount of sacks that I've seen from Tyler Jones. And look, you can see it right here. I'll pull up the statistics. Randy Wilson's got 11 sacks, 42 TFLs. TFLs might be helping him out, but then you got 13 sacks from Tyler Jones. I think the sacks are more important. You got 17 sacks from Ethan Marks here. Like, how is he not there? And why is Manny Rojas not here for defensive end of the year, right? You got 13 sacks here, 11 sacks, 11, and then 21 sacks from Manny Rojas right here. He should be the guy leading for defensive end of the year, to be honest. Casey Chestnut for interior offensive lineman of the year again. And this guy gave up, again, 0 sacks. He was killing for Bama. Tight end of the year, Arturo Flores, 6 touchdowns, 1,100 receiving yards. Got a couple other guys here, that these aren't guaranteed. Even though the game right now might be saying that this guy is leading, they still switch it up. So don't just go off of what you see. It could still be other guys. Like this guy, Sean Vierling, like he's killing, man. 1,300 receiving yards, top 5 receiving in the country as a tight end. Like that's crazy. That's very crazy. 6 touchdowns though. So touchdowns might have stopped him a little bit. And then this guy, Ajalana, he's got 11 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. So We'll see how that tight end award goes. Assistant coach, we ain't got that. Oh, did that skip something? Linebacker of the year was Ryan Bryant, but then Kentucky's Quincy Lawler is in the mix. He had 4 picks. I'm trying to see where he's better than him at. He's only had more pass deflections, but he's literally one more sack than Ryan Bryant. I guess the sack kind of matters more. But I think Ryan Bryant probably should be the leader in this category. Center, we got Georgia's Jason Hausler for center of the year. Right now, can't really go through the rest of that. And we got kicker, Texas A&M's kicker, Josh Sexton. Punter of the year, Joseph Schwab, UMass. So no known guys that kicked last year there. Returner of the year is Ezekiel Kuhn. Now I think it should be Buda Golson because he's the one who's got multiple returns for touchdowns, 2 kick return touchdowns on the year, and I think both of those got recorded. I know Ezekiel Kuhn had one that was recorded, and he's had the better statistical year on top of that as a receiver compared to Golson as a running back. But yeah, we'll see if they'll give that to Golson instead. And then freshman of the year, we can't go up for this because there's some guys that would be classified as freshmen in the college series, but they're not in the game, so they're not going to be up for the award. So we're not doing this award. And yeah, just like that, those are your award leaders. But we're now going to get into, of course, the main one. Who is leading the Heisman? And before I press this X button, let me know in the chat for the guys who are here. Who do you guys think is leading for the Hunter Mackey Award? Just want to throw that out there in the chat. Who's leading for the Hunter Mackey Award? Dante Taylor says Jaden Young or Jermaine James. THC says Jaden. Dior says Jaden. Jermaine James says JoJo. Bo says Jaden. Max says wide receiver. Here we go, man. Jaden says Tayshawn Wiggins. Here we go. So leading for the Hunter Mackey Award is wide receiver Jackson Willis, bro. Jackson Willis, in his first year in the college series as a receiver, might take home the Hunter Mackey Award, man. That's how crazy of a season this dude is having. Jackson Willis, man, he jumped 2 spots over Tremaine James and Jaden Young. I think what hurt Jaden Young was his last game. He threw those 2 interceptions. Although he had 5 touchdowns, those 2 interceptions kind of hurt him. And you can see right there it says last game, 285 yards, 12 catches, 4 touchdowns. And then you had Jaden Young right here, 3 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. He had 2 touchdown rushes. I think those picks definitely is what hurt him. 240 for Jermaine James, but he only had 1 rushing touchdown. So yeah, that boy Jackson Willis, the real deal. The real deal. And with that being said, I think I literally have covered everything I needed to cover. We went over standings pretty much, the conference championship games, award winners, bowl projections, recapped also statistics. So now I guess I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Army-Navy game. Well, I guess, yeah, who you guys think gonna win an Army-Navy game, man? Army or Navy? Navy is 2-9 though. Army is 6-5. They both look terrible in Sims, not gonna lie. It's a crazy work wide receiver looking to take the Heisman at the moment. Yeah, man. Dante saying Army, JoJo Navy. Most guys saying Army. Okay, we got a couple Navies in there. The Severio saying Navy. Yeah, that game will be getting streamed by Pecan at on Tuesday. I believe we'll figure out what time exactly that's going to be. Could be 9 o'clock like it usually is on Tuesdays. I think we might keep with that, but we will see. Mayor says Army by 21. We will see though. Army looked horrible in actual games. Navy did too, that we simmed. And so now I guess I'll leave it up to you guys, bro, because now it's just wait until Tuesday. There's nothing to do in this file until that Army Navy game. Working on other RFL stuff. I want to make an announcement, man. If you have a PS5 and you're looking to get some reloads, man, try to see about getting into joining us and building the RFL file. Currently, we have 14 teams that aren't accounted for somebody working on them. We have 10 teams made, which means 22 more teams left to make. The faster we get these teams made, the faster we can open up trades and have other things that will be available for coaches and the team to do more content. So if you're willing to help out with that, for each team you build, you get 10,000 reloads. You unfortunately you cannot use any other platform. You have to have PS5 because the account information that we have to give you, we can't kick the accounts that we have off in the file. We're already full with 32, so you would have to get that information on that team in order to be able to handle the business. So if you're interested in that, every team you make 10,000 reloads. You make them fully. You make half, like the offense or the defense, you only get 5K, but you have to fully make the offense or the defense to get the 5K. If you're off a player, anything, it does not count. So yeah, I'll leave it up to you guys. Any questions you guys want to ask me? Any statistics you guys probably want to look up? I could pull it up right now. But if I don't get anything, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off. Yeah, it's still live, Garrett, man. We did a deep dive in a lot of things, man. Looked at stats, looked at award leaders, stat leaders, obviously, too, bowl game projections, a whole lot of stuff. So how Georgia State players look. They look pretty bad, man. Yeah, I don't even think I'm gonna dive into that. They were pretty bad. Shout out to Torres. He is going to the Army. Oh yeah, yeah. JT going to the Army, man. Remember he was talking about that. But yeah, I think we are good. Nobody asking any other real questions or to look at anything. I think I've showed just about everything I needed and talked about everything I needed. So, that is what it is. I'll leave it open for like 2 minutes to be exactly 2 hours since it's almost 10:30 when we started at 8:30. And EC asking crazy questions, talking about who first DV off the board and who taking you. You're gonna have to find out come draft time, man. He said, look at GT revivers. What's that? Oh, receivers. I'll go to depth chart. So look at Georgia Tech. Receiving wise, boy, Bub Riggins had over 1,000 yards, just barely by 1 and 7 touchdowns. Earl Spence 7 touchdowns, 944. Lee Manuel 831, 5 touchdowns. And there you go, THC at 634 and 4 touchdowns for tight end. What's going on, Jackson Willis? You missed a lot. It'll be too much to explain back to you. You just have to go back and watch this long pod, bro. But I guess to spoil it for you so you don't have to search for it. Right now, you are leading for our Heisman Award, which is the Hunter Mackey Award. You're able to jump Tremaine James and Jaden Young. So you could, in your first year, literally take home the biggest award in college series. So, I mean, great season, man. But yeah, I think, is there anything else guys want to look at before I close it out? We've hit that 10:30 mark. Just want to make sure. A conference championship might hurt my chance. Yeah, no chance. Yeah, because there's a chance for Jaden Young. He's got to ball out still though and play against LSU. Pretty good LSU team. Said Florida drop passes. Yeah, 6 from Lemon, 8 from the tight end Goldson, 11 from Jean Pierre. Chad Berlin at 6, 2 from Tank, none from Brate. Backup tight end dropped the ball 3 times too. Yeah, 1,000 yards though from the tight end and the receiver though. That's good. 9 touchdowns for those. Yeah, is that all? You guys good? Said Bama. Look at Bama, see what they did. Receiving wise, Dior Gore, 1231, 11 touchdowns. Keyshawn Covington, transfer getting over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Don Whitfield, the tight end, 8 touchdowns, 813. DCP, 514, 2 touchdowns, 5 from Talon Ross, 490. Romano getting a touchdown. Yeah. And rushing wise, yeah, 13 rushing touchdowns from Jaden Young, and he also had 37. So that's 50 touchdowns again from Jaden Young. So what team had the most turnovers? Team stats. Let's go look at that. First turnover differential we got up there is Ole Miss, -22. And it was Tennessee. A lot of turnovers from Tennessee there. 17. Any other notable teams in here? Yeah, not top 10. So, yeah, Florida wasn't in that conversation there, JoJo. But giveaways. Let's see who had the most giveaways. Yeah, Florida wasn't top 10 in that either. Interceptions. Yep, not top 10 in that either. Indiana, 11 fumbles. Defensive interceptions. Man, 34 from Colorado. Wow. Next closest team, 7 away with USC with 27, then Tulane with 27, Miami 25, Kentucky 25, Oklahoma 25. Yeah, the best teams in terms of taking care of the football or just differential is Colorado too. That's crazy. Well, those picks gonna help with that. But 26, 25 from Tulane. There's barely any picks from Devin Norton, so that helped. 21, Kentucky, Wyoming 21, and Miami 19. Top 5 right there. See top 5 offenses. Tennessee number 1. USF number 2. Tulane number 3. Bama number 4. Miami number 5. Best passing offense. Tennessee obviously. 5,004. 46. Top 5 in that. TCU at 2. Miami 3. USC 4. Tulane 5. Best in points per game. Tennessee 1, TCU 2, Miami 3, USC 4, Tulane 5. So you had the best rushing offense, obviously Michigan. Then it was Army. They run anyway all the time. 3 USF, 4 Nebraska, and 5 is Buffalo. Yeah. Most rushing touchdowns, Alabama 38, Clemson 34, Hawaii 33, top 3 there. And most passing touchdowns, of course, that follows the orders of the quarterbacks that we talked about. Yeah. Get a look at defense then real quick. Best defense in the nation. Ohio State, #1 defense. Number 2, Texas. 3, Tulane. 4, Oregon. 5, Colorado. Best pass defense in the nation. Army. 2000. Oh yeah. Well, I'm not gonna read that out, but 1. Buffalo 2. Those are the weaker end teams. There's the first real team for real. Ohio State 3. Colorado 4. Boise State 5. Best run defense in the nation, man, killing it by over 200 yards, Ohio State. And 240 of those yards came from one guy. So you subtract 240 yards off of this, man. That's crazy. You see? It's a 407 minus 240. Before Tremaine James, he ran for more yards by himself more than all the teams that Ohio State faced ran on Ohio State. That's how crazy Tremaine James went. But that goes to show you how good Ohio State's run defense was, and they got gashed by James. But they got #1 run defense, 2 Texas, 3 Duke, 4 Tulane, and 5 Oklahoma State. Leading in sacks, Ohio State, obviously they got the sack leader. 93 sacks, man. It's 1, TCU 2, Colorado 3, Illinois 4, and Oregon 5 sacks. And you already talked about interceptions and stuff, so. It's a little bit better than last year. What team had the most? Oh yeah, JoJo first round. Shit. Yeah, so that's it, man. I think, is there anything else you guys want to see? Or you good? What's going on, Pecan? Hopefully the wedding went good, man. If you're off the yak, you might as well call it a night. Don't come in here tripping. What's up, my guy? Somebody get Ohio State out the playoffs ASAP. Yeah, man. It's going to be interesting. Very interesting. But we went over everything, man. I don't think there's anything else to go over. And so, yeah. That's going to be it for me, man. As you can see, I was yawning almost a little bit early in this. I was trying to stop doing it since it's unprofessional, but daggone, man, your boy is beat. But that is it for this podcast. You got anything you want to see later on? Hopefully another time when I get free, just get with me and I'll show you it. But, man, we got the Army-Navy game Tuesday and the conference championship games next Monday, man. Be prepared. Be ready. The RFL College Series 8, best part of the season to tune in. Best part of the season to tune in. But it's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator. Enjoyed you guys coming through and kicking it with me. I will see you guys next time. Peace.